Idalia is going completely full blow into its intensification now. The storm has just been upgraded to a Category 2 with maximum sustained winds of 100 miles an hour, gusts of 120 miles an hour, central pressure of 972 millibars, moving north at 16 miles per hour as of 1700 hours. August 29th, 2023. As you can see here on satellite imagery, the storm is looking a lot better compared to this morning. We do have this eye feature that is beginning to develop at this time. The storm is on its way now, tracking its now plotting its future toward major hurricane strength. The storm is still forecast to become a Category 3 with a minimal intensity expected to be at least 115 miles an hour. Latest forecasts showed on the previous update showed 125 miles an hour by landfall. Of course, the latest plot shows 115 miles an hour about 6 hours before landfall. That doesn't really suggest any changes, despite the fact that 125 is not on the track plot. A 125 mile an hour landfall would still probably be most probable, at least 120, I'd say, for landfall intensity. There still is a chance of the storm getting to Category 4. Again, the chance is still not really that high, but there is a chance there. It's not zero of the storm getting to Category 4 by landfall. Moving on to models here. Let's go take a look at the models. See what we're looking at. Storm they're still forecasting rapid intensification. With the storm getting a really low pressure. Over the next few hours, the storm will rapidly intensify, making landfall sometime around 10 a.m. According to the NAM 3K model. And then the storm will still be producing heavy rain across a large amount of the Florida Panhandle, and then thunderstorms capable of embedded rain-wrapped tornadoes will also occur along the Florida Peninsula over the next couple of days. The storm, continuing to bring heavy rain and thunderstorms and possible tornadoes, will continue for portions of Georgia and the Carolinas. As the days wear on, and the storm possibly still as a tropical storm will leave the coastline, and could still be a tropical storm, although a broad one, as it enters back out the Atlantic Ocean by the morning hours on September 1st. Getting toward forecast models of wind here, we're going to take a look at what the wind will look like. Stand by. Don't mind Franklin over there, still a Category 3 over there. Don't mind him. But as you can see on the forecast, the storm will still have extremely powerful wind, an extremely intense wind field containing those Category 3 winds. And the storm still possibly has a tropical storm, like I said before, broadening out, but still could bring tropical storm force winds to portions of Georgia and the Carolinas before moving out into the Atlantic Ocean. Possibly still is a very broad and large tropical storm. So we're still watching that as well. Let's get a look on simulated IR and to see what this will what the storm could look like in terms of structure. Still forecasting. They're actually forecasting a bit more of an obvious eye now. The potential that a more obvious eye may pop out for this storm a few hours before landfall. Actually, very soon that could happen, which would be a sign of forecasted rapid intensification as seen. And then the storm still is a very raggedy looking tropical storm. Could still be still a tropical storm as it moves into like I said, the open ocean, but it'll still be a very raggedy looking tropical storm there. That's the center of low pressure amid all these very low clouds and barely any clouds at all generally. And then most of the heavier rain showers continue north of the center, of course. That would be very disorganized. And now we're going to get a look at the sea surface temperatures underneath the storm right now. The storm is nearing 31 to 32 degrees Celsius mark right now. But right now, storm still sea surface temperatures are almost 31 degrees Celsius at this time. Around 30.8, 30.9 right now for sea surface temperatures. And it will enter a 31 to 32 degrees Celsius zone in the next couple of hours. And that's what's really going to aid this storm in bringing lots of more intensification. As you can see, if you see these yellow blips on your screen, Florida's been getting tons of thunderstorms, as well as Louisiana, from the influence of this storm. There have been thunderstorms occurring all over the place, and that's exactly what we usually see from storms like this. Lots and lots of thunderstorms, and in these thunderstorms, there may very well be tornadoes occurring at this time. So, the National Weather Service reporting there are a few severe thunderstorm warnings for Florida at this time. Flash flood warnings in New Orleans, and there's a severe thunderstorm warning reaching all the way towards Charlotte and Raleigh, North Carolina at this time. It's a very dire situation occurring here with this powerful hurricane moving directly north and directly toward the Gulf of Mexico. This storm will be catastrophic for the coastlines, especially considering the whole deal with the blue moon and the fact that tides that heavy swells and tides occurred with this with a blue moon. That in combination with the swells from this storm and the storm surge from Hurricane Idalia. This storm surge could be as bad as Hurricane Ian from last October, which was a Category 4 at landfall, a Category 5 at peak intensity. This storm hit Florida right around where my cursor is, you see. As a Category 4 storm, it had 150 mile an hour winds at landfall, but it was a Cat 5 with 160 mile an hour winds just before landfall. So, the storm surge is going to be extremely dangerous, unfortunately. The situation, though, with this one is going to be much more different than Ian, though, with warmer sea surface temperatures farther toward the peninsula. Sorry, the panhandle. My gosh. Toward the panhandle, which would aid in a stronger storm landfall. With Ian, the sea surface temperatures were actually less toward the panhandle and higher toward the coastline of the peninsula, which aided in that, which the track kept on shifting farther east, and that's basically how that storm was able to make landfall as a powerful Cat 4 there. But it's basically reverse of that right now for this storm. And we are really looking at the potential for devastating storm surge, catastrophic winds, and catastrophic flash flooding as the storm continues here. And getting a look at wind shear. Right now it's still pretty low, but it does get to the moderate side ahead of the storm. In fact, it may even go to 20 knots. Not 20, not 25, my bad. It may go to 25 knots, which would be slightly on the unfavorable side. But by the time it does that, it will have made landfall, so intensification will still be going. But wind shear will tend to. But that being said, wind shear will go up only a little bit before landfall, and that may very slightly lower the storm's intensification rate. But the storm will still be a Category 3 storm and still have that small chance of being a Category 4 at landfall. But that chance is a little bit lower right now than it was earlier this afternoon. But still, we're looking at the potential for a storm to make landfall with the winds of around 120, maybe more than that in miles per hour, at least 115. And that will be very destructive winds. So that being said, we're going to have more updates later tonight. I will be up for a very, very large portion of the nighttime hours, so expect updates from me deep in the night. I'll be tracking this storm because the National Hurricane Center says the landfall will be 2 a.m. So, because there's some uncertainty about the landfall time between models and the National Hurricane Center and a few other sources, we're going to be tracking this storm pretty much almost all night. I may jump off for a minute to get a couple hours of sleep, but